Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, when the store is quiet, I get to chat to my friends about the films and the series that we're loving. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, entrance day!
How's it?
Yo, how's it going?
It's so good to see you, P-Dog.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. Sorry, I've been in and out these days, but I'm back. I'm here.
You're here, and
Yes.
you're here for the most important episode.
Of course.
Or one of the most important. This is the last episode of the year.
Yes.
So thank you, everyone, for wandering in every week. We see you. We see your presence in the metrics, and we love and appreciate you. We hope that you are able to start unwinding. We need that now, especially
Yes.
if you live in Joburg.
Yeah.
And every day is a Sunday here in the city, which is glorious.
Yeah.
And so we've had the most incredible year. I've got a Perrin here with me. Perrin, you are a multi-hyphenate. Is that the word?
Yes.
You're a
I
writer
suppose.
and a shooter and a cameraman.
Yeah,
and
a bit of
director,
everything.
A little bit of
Yeah.
everything. And my name is Russell, and I am the owner of the Bioscope, which is an independent cinema here in Johannesburg. We've got a Cole somewhere. I think he's scurrying around in the back.
Yeah.
But today is a guest episode. So we have our good friend Brett de Groot popping in. Brett has come to the video store before. So deep in the archives is the last time Brett visited. But we wanted him back because Brett is the star of The Magic Box, which is a new, exciting, fresh Disney production, an official Disney product
Yes.
that is at the Teatro in Monte Cassino.
Yeah.
It did do some time in Cape Town, but now it's still on. When this episode's out, it's still on during the holiday season. And we wanted to chat to him because we're proud of him.
Yeah.
He's a good friend. He's Cole's friend. Him and Cole do a lot of productions together. But I've taken great joy in getting to know Brett
Yes.
from coming to watch a lot of the productions. So for those who haven't got their tickets yet and you're looking for something to do in Joburg, The Magic Box is on, as I said. So if you go to disneythemagicbox.com, you can get your tickets. And then every year we do our most rented episode. Those are typically ones we do at the end of the year. We've changed it up this year. At the start of next year, we are going to put out our most rented episode. That is going to be us talking about the best films of the year. P-Dog, have you started making that list?
Yeah, so normally my annual list comes out like around March because then I've caught up on everything that I need to watch that qualifies for my for my year list.
You put out a list in March about the previous year.
Yeah. So it's usually around March because then I've watched everything that part of my criteria.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I got you. But what are we going to ask of you is in early Jan, we're going to get together and our first episode,
Yeah.
2025, will be our most rented. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
Which is all of our favorite films or TV shows of 2024.
Yeah. So I will give you the stuff that will most likely be my top.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think Brett's going to pop in any minute, but after the chat, myself and Perrin, we're going to have ourselves a little chat.
Yes.
So after the chat with Brett, you and I will chat a bit more because we want to do a little bit of a Christmas thing.
Yeah. It's Christmas joy. We got to get people into the holiday spirit.
Yes, and for those who know, whenever Perrin does do a shift here at the video store, we try our best to have him present a list.
Yeah,
P-Dog's list.
Twists my arm. Fucking.
But you love doing lists,
No,
man.
I love
it's
lists.
like literally
Lists are great.
it's literally what you do. So what is your list?
Okay, it's obviously like holiday Christmas movies. Like it's such a good staple of December. I even know people who aren't quote unquote Christians that love the Christmas movies. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
it's a vibe.
Yeah, there's obviously two genres of Christmas movies. There's the cheesy, awful Hallmark type movies.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert in that, so I'm going to recommend Christmas movies that you may have missed or that are still great and you may know about, but I'm just reminding you that they exist.
Cool. Because, a lot of your lists are the more hidden gem type films, which I love.
Yeah.
So please stick around for after the chat with Brett, where myself and Perrin will talk about that. All right. I think Brett's going to be here any minute. P-Dog, you got something to keep you busy in the meantime?
Yeah, I'm going to set up our Christmas display. So
okay, in the shop window.
Yes, I'll be painstakingly making that perfect for you.
Okay, cool. Let's do this. Cole! Brett's coming. All right, let's do this. This is Brett popping in to rent something. How's it?
Hi.
Morning.
Morning.
It's so lovely to have you back.
I know. I was just walking past the video store and I thought I'd pop in.
Bless you.
We are so grateful to see you again.
Thank God we were so bored right now. We were just talking about Russell's weekend and I was dying of boredom.
Yeah, I heard it from outside the store and that's why I came in. I was just like, let me save this conversation.
I have interesting weekends.
You do have interesting weekends, to be fair.
You are so busy and I want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
You are on the Magic Box.
Indeed.
You are performing daily
Yeah.
over at Monte Casino.
Yes.
So I want to get into the Magic Box. I want to hear about everything and how it's all come together. I see you wearing a very cool Mickey Mouse top.
Yeah, I mean, what is so great, spoiler alert to everyone listening, I play Mickey Mouse, is I have built-in merch and I've never played a character that has built-in merch. Like anywhere you go now, there's Mickey Mouse stuff and I'm just like, yeah, it's for me.
It's for you.
It's definitely not. It's just been a wild ride, really. But yes, I'm currently playing Mickey Mouse in the Magic Box, which is on at Monte Casino, was at Artscape, and will be touring internationally.
Okay.
It's insane. I mean, it's
an official Disney production.
So this is through Disney Theatrical, who create all the Broadway productions of Disney, like Frozen on Broadway, Lion King, The Little Mermaid on Broadway, Aladdin on Broadway, Hercules on Broadway. So
it makes sense that it's like an entire division.
Yeah,
right?
It's their own division it's like their Broadway division, basically, of
Yes.
Well, do
Disney.
you know that the most profitable piece of art in history, so when you think of music, albums, games, is the Lion King musical?
No ways.
Yeah, it's because it's been running for so long.
It's because it continues to make money.
And it continues to make money.
Because if you think about...
When did that come out?
it's just
like early
just known.
90s?
Why do I want to say it was 20 years ago? I might be wrong.
Because that's 2004.
Because if you think about that Lion King live action, it made $1 billion, but that was in like a month. And then of course it peters out.
Yeah.
Where the musicals make so much money.
And remember, it's on Broadway and on the West End.
It can be in many places.
So
at
you're
once,
basically getting like, and it's sold out every night.
Yeah, it's
so
always full.
You're getting like 3,000 people per night, 8 times a week. That's insane.
At many
Yeah.
thousands
They
of
make
dollars.
so much money.
Yeah.
They make so much money.
So it's amazing.
How has it been?
It's been incredible. Honestly, I didn't think that I would ever be working for Disney Theatrical. I don't know why. It just seems like quite an unattainable thing.
I mean, like, this is also... I feel like I was explaining this to my boyfriend when we watched the musical. I was like, this is a very like poetic and natural progression of Brett's life. One, you played Noddy when you were a child, so you were like involved in pantomime from like a very young age and entertaining, like kids first entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Then secondly, you've had your own original Disney musical, jukebox musical, right? And those two things together equals playing Mickey Mouse in a Disney musical.
Yeah, and it is quite a weird sort of through path, because I think a massive part of my career as well is my first introduction to musicals was through Disney. Like, obviously my parents took me to theater as a kid, but my first physical thing or memory of like a musical was watching The Little Mermaid and being like, oh, I want to do this. Like, it's this elevated
Part
story.
of that world.
Literally, it's like it's elevated storytelling. You know, because like the musical form works so well in those Renaissance Disney films, and like it really stuck with me. And another really weird tidbit is, I was one of the weird kids who was obsessed with Fantasia, and I know Fantasia is not everyone's cup of tea because there's no
same.
storyline. It's like weird. and it's
I
all
found
visual.
it a bit trippy.
It is very trippy, and Magic Box is
Are
also
we talking
quite
about
trippy.
the original Fantasia or 2000?
No, the original Fantasia.
Hectic. I've never seen it.
And
The broomsticks that come
yeah.
alive. No, that freaked me out as a kid.
and so I was obsessed with that broomstick scene. And
Oh.
now I get to
Okay.
do that broomstick scene 8 times a week. And it's like, it's so cool. I was just like, if 4-year-old me knew that this was going to be like my job, like how weird.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that. I
Yeah.
love thinking about the sort of 16-year-old
Yeah.
Russell and how chuffed he would be that I
So it's,
have a
Yeah.
film podcast and
Yeah.
I haven't paid for a movie ticket in 2 years.
That's crazy.
But it's
Perks.
it's lovely. And so apart from actually being a performer and being on stage like you are in the Magic Box, you have put up your hand to put on productions.
Yeah.
And that's something Cole, as a musician, has been involved in doing. And you've put on these like really fun, really great productions.
Yeah.
It's called the Big Production.
The big productions, yeah.
The big productions, and as you said, they tend to be these jukebox musicals. So there was one that was a celebration of Broadway.
Yeah.
Then there was the really great Elton John one, and
Yeah.
then there was the Disney one.
Yeah.
And so I've taken great joy in coming to watch you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, I originally came to watch Cole, but then
Yeah.
I got to know you.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
And it was so lovely to
Yeah,
meet
he
you.
traded you in for me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry, dude.
No.
And it was just I could just see, and there was the one Broadway show that you did, which was just a celebration of all the best songs of Broadway. You did a special one that was kind of in and around COVID, where
Yeah.
we were outside
Yes.
on like the stairs of the National School of Arts
Yeah.
field, and it was just such a welcome thing in COVID. Where
Yeah.
I was like, well, I want to be out, I want to see shows. It just came at the right time.
Yeah, I think
Because at that point it had been like a year and a bit,
yeah,
right?
since there was like any entertainment. And
Jesus.
actually, what's quite weird is before I did that outdoor version of Simply Broadway, I had done Disney in the Park, which was an outdoor version of The Man and the Mouse, which was my Disney show. And they sort of approached me and they said, look, we want something that's family entertainment. And I was like, oh, I don't really do family entertainment, but we can try and do something that, well, I don't do kids entertainment, I do family entertainment, so we can make this work.
Right.
And that's how sort of the outdoor theater thing started with that. And that's when we saw how people sort of just loved the experience of theater still.
It is important.
I think it's also, you realize, like, you know, there's a saying that you need to touch grass. I think it's like you need to touch chiffon every now and then. You need something like, you need to have like a little bit of art.
What's the expression with grass?
You need to touch grass.
So if you need a reality check
Yeah.
because you're too much in Reddit forums,
Yeah, you need
And,
to touch
you know,
grass and like
Okay.
be humbled by nature.
like
but
if you're stressing too much about QAnon, you need to just go
Yeah.
outside and touch some
grass.
grass.
I've never
Totally.
heard that expression.
Yeah.
Totally.
You need to touch chiffon.
Yeah. So I would say you need to touch chiffon.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, I think for me, the whole trajectory of this whole thing has been so amazing. When I was auditioning for Magic Box, I had no idea what I was auditioning for. It's a brand new show. They had done a taste run in Buenos Aires, but there was no information available to us in the audition process of what the show even was. And
Sure. So you were just like, it was an open audition in terms of
basically,
characters.
we were told there's Disney Theatrical is auditioning for this like show that's going to feature all of Disney, which is basically what Magic Box is. It's a compendium of almost all the music from Disney,
All of it.
but it's done in a way that it's very different to what I did with Man and the Mouse. It's much more of a sensory experience. It's there to trigger like memories, and it's like a lot of medleys and that kind of thing. But we didn't know that. And
And you didn't know who the characters were going to
no.
be.
And
Wow.
we went in, and it was the most grueling audition process I've ever been through in my whole life ever. Like,
Okay, in what way?
we had to literally do everything. I've never done an audition where I've had to harness each and every single one of my skills. Like, we first had to dance, then sing, then tap. Then I was called back the next day to sing and dance and tap again in a callback sort of session. And then I was taken aside, and they said to me, we know you can sing and dance, but we want you to come back for something else. And I was like, well, I've been cut. This is...
Yeah, what does that mean? It's like
Yeah.
singing and dancing is the other thing. What's the thing that
Yeah.
doesn't feature those
And
two
I was
things?
like, I've definitely been cut because that's my vocation. So like,
Right.
what am I in for? Am I going to be part of backstage crew?
You're going to be like Tim Curry in that Rocky Horror
Yeah.
production where he's in a wheelchair speaking.
Yeah. So
That's what they're going to make you do.
I came back the next day, and it was all very hush hush, and they brought us inside.
But sorry, surely them saying you need to come back, I mean, that means you're not cut. What makes you think you were cut if they
because
were like,
they say
we need
you're
you
not
to
going to
come
sing
back?
and dance in a musical.
in a musical.
So what does that mean?
You're kind of like, what
It's
am
like,
I, what
I'll
am I
talk to you
gonna
about
do?
future project something. Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I came back the next day, they brought us inside, sort of the audition space, and I was shown this picture. It was like a diagram of this puppet of Mickey Mouse, and they were like, "We want you guys to audition for the leads of the show, which are the Disney, the main Disney 5, essentially, which is Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Daisy, and they lead the show." But they don't speak. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? They're like, it's just puppeteering and you don't speak. And I was like, number one, I've never puppeteered in my life before. Number two, I've never kept quiet for more than like a minute in my whole life. And I was just like, this is crazy because I don't know if I can do this. And yeah, it was quite a weird audition process because even in that, did they test puppeteering once? No.
What?
They tested only our capability to improvise. So I had to do like stand-up comedy, improv clowning, improv mime, improv. I like had conversations with them. It was crazy because we first auditioned for Showtime Management, which is the South African producer. And then there was about 50 of us. No, I'm talking rubbish. There was maybe about 30 people called that day for the characters. And then we'll call back 2 months later to audition for the Disney theatrical panel, which are, it features a Broadway director and Broadway producer. So it's like the biggest audition of your whole life. And you're going in and it's all improv. Like,
Yeah.
Sweet.
it's nightmare fuel. Like,
Yeah, it is.
Like, anything can happen.
What are you
And-
talking about? I just have to be myself?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
And I walked into this audition. I was the first person to audition on the day for the panel. And I walked in, and I remember I met the director, Thaddeus, and I just walked in. I thought, this guy looks exactly like Walt Disney because he dresses like him. He's got the mustache. He's got everything. And I knew he was a Broadway director, and my palms are sweaty, mom spaghetti, that whole thing. But like, I walked in, and the first thing he said to me was, so what is the magic box? I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, you the director, like. And I realized he wasn't asking me, like, what is the show about? He's saying, like, what is it? And I was like, well, from what I've seen from the concept art is that you want to go for, like, almost German impressionistic theater, soundstage style theater. And I said, it's basically going to be like Fantasia on stage, where it's sensory, not storyline based.
Yeah, it's not plot.
And I honestly think that's what got me cast because I understood the concept.
Yeah. You're on the same
Yeah.
radio station, at least.
But-
You're on the same frequency.
But I honestly thought that I was going to play Donald Duck because I was like, they kept on calling me for Donald, and I had to keep doing Donald-esque things, because the whole thing is, you as the puppeteer in the show now at the end result have to be the human version of your character.
Yeah, so I think just to explain it, you're gonna hold
Yeah, so-
rods.
So basically,
gonna-
Mickey's attached to a harness in front of me. So he's on a gyroscope attached to my shoulders and to my feet. And then I control his hands and his head. And then his head is also attached to my head via cable. So if I turn my head to the right, his head turns to the right, etc., etc.
But in the show now, you're not gonna sing. You're not
No.
gonna talk.
No.
So how do they do the is it pre-recorded?
No, there is no talking in the whole show. It's only music.
Oh god.
And it's only singing. And basically, it's like a Greek chorus style piece of theater where the ensemble leads the two main characters, which is Mickey and Mara, who is this audience member who falls into the magic box through sort of this experience where it's quite an interesting. The way that they explained it to us is this is the story of the creation of Mickey Mouse and how he grows up into becoming the Mickey that everyone knows and loves, which is this heroic character. But if people remember correctly, Mickey didn't start that way. Mickey was fashioned off Charlie Chaplin. And so he's a bit of an anti-hero in that he does everything wrong but gets it right.
Right.
Whereas Donald Duck does everything right but gets it wrong. that's the antithesis of the two characters. And
Okay, I never thought of them that way.
and so Mickey he creates more and more mayhem in this magic box for Mara, who gets sucked in. She doesn't know where the hell she is. And her shadow splits, and she has to face both her younger self and her older self and rediscover her inner child whilst Mickey learns to grow up. So it's a contrasting.
This is a bold
journey.
swing.
It's like
It's a very bold
it's
swing.
interesting hearing
and-
that explanation after seeing it.
Yeah.
Because I think I'd love to watch it again, knowing what it is.
Yeah.
Because I think as an ignorant audience member, you go into the teatro, or as Luca would say, teatro.
Yeah.
This was
And-
the Peter Turin.
Yeah,
No,
Peter Turin Teatro. There's the Peter Turin Theatre, the small one,
Okay.
and then there's the big,
one.
big one.
Yeah.
Is all of it considered the teatro?
No, the
No,
theatre
the
is the big
Teatro is
space.
just the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, listeners. We were
but-
just educating Russell.
So,
Yeah,
No, but
exactly.
exactly. But why are you saying you go into the because you're performing at Peter Turin?
No,
No,
we're
he's
performing
performing in the Teatro.
Yeah.
Is it at the teatro?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the big one.
Okay.
So you walk into the Teatro, and you think that you're going to get a musical with the plot with characters that speak and then sing, and
Yeah.
speak and then sing. Like this is like a routine that we're in as South African theatre
Yeah.
goers, right? And then all of a sudden you get that experience where it's all metaphor based, it's all visual,
Yeah.
and it's also like a fringy form of theatre that we haven't seen before on the stage.
Completely. This is like, think of Cirque du Soleil done through Disney. Like that's really what
That
this
is fucking
feels like to me. But honestly, if you're listening and you're like, oh, that sounds too meta for me, trust me, it's not. Like
It's just a vibe.
irrespective of your relationship with Disney, you're going to enjoy the show because it's
Absolutely.
so well designed in a way that nothing is on the nose. And I think that's actually what makes it good. If we
Yes.
did have Cinderella coming out, if we had the Seven Dwarfs coming out, if we had Anna and Elsa, like it wouldn't be cool. What makes it cool is you're focusing on these 5 core characters which are quintessential Disney, and it gives it a very 1940s feel and really grounds the show in something that is actually far more emotional. Like, I think something that really stands out to me, a spoiler alert to everyone, but at the end of the show where Mickey says goodbye to Mara, people get really emotional about it because it's this very intense moment of you have to grow up and you have to leave that
yeah,
behind.
leaving the magic box was hectic
Yeah.
at the end. I was like, ooh, this is pulling on a heartstring.
But that is what it is. You know, that is what the show aims to really achieve through the whole process. And when I got cast as Mickey, like I just felt this overwhelming sense of responsibility because in my final callback, they asked me, they said, okay, you're going to be representing Mickey in this audition. And I just thought, what the hell can I do with Mickey? Like Mickey is a Boy Scout. Like he's not 3-dimensional in any way. And then I like remembered, like, of course, I know the history of Mickey Mouse, and he actually was a little shit. That's what he was. If you watch any of the original cartoons, he literally causes mayhem in every single one and doesn't care about anything, you know.
Right.
And that's what I did in that last audition, and I think that really helped me along, and I really brought that in. And what was cool is when I got to the rehearsal phase, you know, there's that famous conversation between Tim Burton and Johnny Depp where they discussed the Mad Hatter and they both drew the Mad Hatter.
Right.
The same kind of thing happened where I walked into the rehearsal space and I had the conversation with Thaddeus, who's the director, who I got on so well with. I think I looked up to him in so many ways because I'm a director. I'm also a writer. So like I'm also a set designer. So in so many ways we were like the same kind of person. And in the first conversation we had with Mickey was the first time he saw me in the puppet because they kept me separate with the puppet. And then I came in to show them what I'd like sort of figured out. And the first thing I did for them was Mickey discovering his body. And literally the way I did it, like Thaddeus just burst into tears. And he was just like, you don't understand. Like 3 years ago when I sat pitching this idea on Broadway and the theater for the Lion King to the Disney exec saying, this is how I want Mickey Mouse. And then
Right.
for me to come in and do it without his direction, he was just like,
Wow.
it's such a weird
It's like, yeah,
thing.
it's a connection to have that you didn't expect.
No, and not at all. And it was very cool that I'm so grateful that they left me to do Mickey in that way. He's not at all corporate Mickey at all, which is
No,
It
it's not.
sounds like you understand the true nature of him.
Oh, yeah,
Because I
totally.
never would have looked at Mickey and gone, "Oh, he's a little shit."
yeah,
And that's a really interesting insight as an actor and as a puppeteer,
yeah,
because through your motions and the way that puppet works,
yeah,
you have to embody an animated character, but you're not the animated character. You are the character. It's like this separation,
Yeah.
but it isn't. Kind of this
But
contradiction.
you're not in like black clothes.
No.
Trying to be a
So
a
I'm
shadow in the
literally
background.
dressed as Walt Disney because I play Walt and Mickey essentially in the show. And where they got this idea from is this really famous photo of Walt Disney leaning against a wall, and his shadow, where his shadow should be, is Mickey Mouse.
Right.
And they were like, that's how we're going to do it. We're going to create the puppets that the animators who created them are their puppeteers. And so my costume is actually designed directly, and that's how the concept of the whole show actually came about, was from this one photo. So everyone's costumes then were locked into the time period of that photo of these like 1940s, 1930s animators.
Okay.
And that's essentially what the Magic Box is a giant animation studio whereby the animators play all the different characters, which are the ensemble, and they like take on all these roles. So it's very cool. This is like the highest level form of puppeteering, which is really extreme to take on.
Have you had any experience puppeteering?
No, not at all.
Because I don't think anyone grows up and goes like,
And-
I also want to add puppeteering.
Yeah, but also it's not
like
a
it's-
normal puppet, right? It's like it's
Well,
a heavy puppet.
It's extremely heavy. It's 70 kilos that I run around with.
Fuck.
And the first thing that I do in the show is run. So
Are
I'm
you,
just-
you carrying the 70 kilos weight?
yeah, on my shoulders,
None of it's like,
on my feet.
oh my God.
So he's basically attached in front of me. Yeah, and it's
Is the feet of the puppet on your feet?
the feet of the puppet is attached to a rod, which is connected with my shoes. So
Okay,
he's,
so you're
he's
taking
about
some of the weight on
he's
your
about
feet.
20 centimeters in front of me,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I've seen pictures, but I
Yeah.
haven't quite figured out exactly how it...
Yeah. So he's like a fully realized character by himself. You know,
Okay.
it's quite interesting. It's like the whole concept. So the producer of Magic Box is Felipe Gamba, who's also the producer of Lion King on Broadway. So obviously a very successful person.
Yeah, as we said, call back
yeah,
to
yeah.
at the beginning. This is a producer of the most
Yeah.
profitable piece of art in history.
In history. And,
Yes.
and if you
So-
meet this guy, you'll be like, what? Like, because he's so relaxed and chilled and like friendly and lovable and like gets emotional in rehearsals when we're doing something that he thinks is beautiful. And like, he is a dream producer. He really is. I must say, every single person we worked with from Disney is exactly the kind of person you would expect to work for Disney.
And
Like,
these are-
they believe in
Right.
the magic.
okay, and these are folks that have come out from
Yes.
overseas.
Yeah.
So like the director's name, what was his name?
Thadius.
Thaddeus.
Yeah, so Thaddeus McWillie. He is
That's such a cool name.
such a cool
It's
name.
amazing.
And he
What
like
is that?
he
What is
would
that
come.
heritage?
Thaddeus. He's American. I think it's Jewish. Thaddeus is Jewish normally.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he used to come to rehearsals every day on a skateboard in a full 3-piece suit with a fedora and a pipe.
What?
And he's
Yeah,
like,
badass.
he's like nearing 60.
Oh, cool.
He's just so cool.
Like
And are
next level
they?
cool.
Have they moved on now that you've started?
Yeah,
because
so
that is a
once your show opens, then obviously
A thing.
your production team leaves, and then you have resident directors and choreographers that stay on. So you have your dance captain who keeps the dancing clean, and then you've got your resident director who keeps the show in tune.
I've always found that very interesting because it's testament to how theatre is the actor's form.
Oh yeah,
Because your director will do all the directing in the build up, but then usually once the show starts, the director kind of sort of
Right.
signs
And
off.
I mean, like
Yeah.
even before then, there's the opening night that they stay for, right? So
Yeah.
do they see the first production and do they
Oh,
talk to you
Oh
afterwards?
yeah, I mean, that's what you have previews for. So the first week of the show is previews, and then you have opening. That's our openings. Never the first night of your
yeah.
the show is available to the audience. That's not your opening night. Opening night is the first Sunday of the week that you open, and every performance prior to that is called a preview, and that is where many things can still change. So if you come to a Wednesday preview and then come to the Thursday preview, some things may have changed because the
remember this.
directors are watching
if
and they're
those
going to be
laughs
like,
don't land, or if that
yeah, and they'll be
sort of
like, no, I
cue
think
doesn't
we're
work.
going to cut that scene, we're going to move that, we're going to take this song away, like these things.
Because you're gauging the energy of the play in a room full of
with people. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
how it works. And it's interesting because this musical was very workshopped, which is very different to what I think. a lot of South African performers are used to coming and getting blueprint musicals, and they just have to, okay, you go stand on 8, you go stand on 7, you go stand on whatever. You know, your stage is numbered, and that you do the exact choreo. Whereas this is all workshopped. We were left to our own, not to our own devices, but especially the characters, we were not directed. We were told, like, here are 3 wheels of cheese. You need to steal the cheese. How are you going to do that?
Wild.
And then you go and develop it and whatever, which for me, that's the dream. That's where I come from. All of my stuff has been workshopped. So it's like perfect.
Do you think this is going to be a play that is workshopped wherever it is?
No.
Or are you actually helping craft this show?
So we are now the blueprint.
Fuck, that's incredible that you get to be there.
It's insane. We are the world premiere of this. And as we tour internationally now, we will be the official international cast.
How did this come
cool.
to South Africa so soon?
So from what I can understand is Hazel Feldman, who owns Showtime Management. She is, honestly, if you want to talk about like boss business ladies, she is like right up there.
Hazel
Feldman. And Hazel, Hazel basically cut her teeth at Sun City. She was one of the people that brought a lot of the shows into Sun City. Right. And now Showtime Management is so big. I mean, they do everything from like monster trucks all the way to like musical theater.
Yeah,
their main focus obviously is musical theater. They just brought Tyler here. Like that's their kind of massive reach.
Oh, dope.
But Hazel...
So they're like moving into the big concert space as well.
Hazel,
they've always been there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no, they've always done that. Yeah.
So, but Hazel loves modern musicals. It's really her thing. Is she doesn't look at like the golden age stuff. She really loves anything that's like cutting edge and different.
Because modern musicals become classic musicals.
Totally.
If you've done
them
right.
And also I think Hazel's mantra is to surround herself with young ideas and young talent. And thank heavens, because there's so many other producers in the industry don't want that. They're sort of clinging onto this team of people that...
It's safe to go with the one that you know.
Yeah, and
also, that guy always delivers.
Yeah, and also like... Even their teams that they work with on like the production side, they don't want to swap it out for young, fresh people. And Hazel's the opposite. And basically, I think Hazel and Felipe, who produced Lion King, they had a working relationship because I think Hazel brought Lion King here originally.
That was what the teatro
was built for.
Opened with.
It was built for Lion King.
What?
It was the first one. Yeah,
that's why the teatro is designed. Like the architecture is very Lion King.
Yeah, it was made.
Interesting.
It was made for Lion King.
But it was one of those like, this is the play that is set in Africa. We're in Africa. Let's not turn this into a Greek theater.
Yeah.
My favorite moment was getting vomited on by a very cute little girl behind me who was just too excited at the Lion King.
She vomited from excitement?
Yeah, and I turned around to be like, what the fuck? And there was this cute little girl that was just like, I drank too much slushy. I was like, it's okay, my girl.
We've all been there.
Like, we've all been there. Even at 20.
Yeah, if I had a nickel.
Yeah. Okay, so she obviously knew that she had created that relationship as a result.
And she heard that they were test running this musical in Argentina, but obviously it was all in Spanish.
Sure.
And Hazel flew over, went and saw it, and she was like, we can do this. She's like, let South Africans be the ones to embody this. And
there's no... but what's nice, correct me if I'm wrong now, so sorry, obviously you know this play by the back of your hand. Cole, you went and saw it. There's no speaking in between. You said it's just music.
Yeah.
It's just music. So obviously wherever you are in the world, you know those songs, even if you sometimes don't even understand them.
Yeah.
But you know the English songs. So this can be anywhere in the world.
Literally, I think that's the one of the smartest things about it is it is irrespective of like experience, language barrier, religion. It's like this. It's all this is this really compressed sensory experience and memory experience of like your childhood. And it's like they've done like really clever things. Like there are lots of hints to Disney in it throughout, obviously. Like Dumbo's feather makes an appearance, and you'll be like, oh, I don't know that feather. Why is that feather so? You know, it's like you're triggered by it. Mickey's blue wizard hat. There's a scene where Mara runs through forests, and the forests sort of fold through the various forests of Disney. And it's quite weird because you can identify each and every forest. You're like, that's Hercules, that's Mulan,
you
that's
recognize
Bambi,
all the styles.
that's whatever. And the styles are so distinct.
And then also the Bambi silhouettes.
amazing.
Like that image of Bambi's father. Was it Bambi's father in the film?
No, so it's Bambi's silhouette that sort of comes on.
Oh yeah, but in the play,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
you see Bambi's silhouette. It's also like
Yeah.
a puppet, right?
Yeah.
But I was thinking in the film, there's that image of a deer with the silhouette.
Yeah.
That's quite like
exactly.
iconic.
It's very iconic.
Yeah.
And that song that people have forgotten about, like it's so
Dude,
beautiful.
so many of those old numbers where you sit
Yeah.
there and you go, oh, it's been like 20, 30 years since I heard
I've heard
this.
this, yeah.
You know?
In my head, it was in the smaller theater. So has it been in the teatro the whole time?
Yes, yeah. And it was an
what is
artscape
that
before that.
What is the performing at the teatro like
It's
for
your
you?
teatro debut, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my teatro debut. I've never performed at the teatro before. And it is, I mean, it's interesting. Like we were at Artscape prior, which is the very big theater in Cape Town. And you have so much space. And then we come to teatro, and teatro like has 0 wing space.
Okay, I was about to
So
say,
to
what is
fit,
that architecture?
so to fit a show this big in there, it's quite insane, but it works. Like we've got an amazing crew that just know how to like, it's like Lego, it's like Tetris.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. I mean, doing a show like this, I think in front of these massive audiences, sometimes you are so focused on the puppet that you sometimes forget that they are there. I can't explain it.
Absolutely.
Like,
that was the experience I had. Is I thought that it was like you as a performer. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it from an audience member's perspective. For me, it was like it was really easy to forget that the puppeteer was there.
Yeah.
And get lost in the performance of the puppet.
But you're
Yeah.
saying it's easy to forget that
The audience is
that
there.
the audience is there.
Because in this show in particular, what we're finding is the audience is so like overwhelmed that they like don't know how to react to anything until the end, where people just like basically fall apart and cry and clap and whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's such a roller coaster of a show. It does not stop, not for a single second. It and as performers,
There's not even
I mean,
an interval.
No, there's no interval. It's an hour and a half show, and from basically minute 1 of the show till the end, I don't leave the stage. Neither does Ashley Scott, who plays Mara. So it's extremely intense and physically intense, but like it's very cool. I think my favorite part of the whole show is right in the beginning, where they do the Mickey reveal, where you see the creation of Mickey Mouse, and hearing people's response to when they reveal me. That is the magic box. Like people
Right.
lose their minds when they see Mickey Mouse. And it's such a weird thing because it's such a visceral, like people can't help it. There's like fully grown men that are just like, Mickey. Like it's so interesting. Like,
Okay.
yeah. And look, I've got a very difficult, that opening scene is very difficult because you're also educating the audience on the vocabulary of the show. Like
Right.
there's no talking. This is how the puppets work. It's what Felipe calls the double event, which is you and the puppet are one. So you can watch the puppet or you can watch the puppeteer, and you should be able to withdraw the same context.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, you're also the puppet's conscience, their brain, their emotions. So if the puppet
Yes.
is limited in showing that emotion, you show that emotion. So it's difficult because this is more so clowning than what it is puppeteering.
Yes.
It's obviously there's a massive puppeteering aspect to it, but you have to do a lot of clowning and like overperforming to get this sort of across. And what a cool skill to hone, because that's the thing. I don't miss the singing actually at
I was
all.
about to say, can you enjoy that?
I've loved it. I've sung all these songs already. You know what I mean? I've done them in
Right.
my own context and whatever. And I'm just like, this is so much more rewarding because it's so much more memorable, and it's so difficult that it's like I want to be challenged. I want to have the most difficult thing to do in the show, and that
that
I most certainly have that.
the 70 freaking kilogram puppets.
Yeah.
I've just seen when you sort of stretched your arm, you have a Mickey tattoo.
I do have a Mickey tattoo that I got when I've got a tattoo of every show that I've written, and that was when I wrote The Man and the Mouse. And it was quite funny because I walked into the audition for Magic Box, and they were like, "Did you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not psychotic enough to get a tattoo
Dude,
before I
just
even
because-
get the role." But they were like, "Oh, it's built-in branding," and I'm like, "Sure."
But I was
whatever.
like, but for your consideration,
Yeah, totally.
I've marked my body with the character I'm
no
about
pressure,
to audition
guys,
for.
but this is the lengths I'm willing to go to.
It's interesting talking about the difficulty of the musical, because when you're watching it, like you get a sense of, I mean, like the puppets, as part of the illusion, the puppets look light. So afterwards, when you told me that the puppet was 70 kilograms, I was kind of shocked, because the thing that was effortless now seemed like, oh, it was actually a lot of effort. but then also watching the dancers and the company perform. Where I was like thinking about, they're managing props, they're managing the set, they're hitting marks, which are like all over the place, and singing in this chorus. I was like, and that's also nonstop for 90 minutes. Where I was thinking about the last one I saw was Mamma Mia, where it's like everyone chills in the town, they sit or they sleep,
Yeah.
and then they sing, and then they chill
No,
for a
this
bit. And I was
is-
like, this
this-
is incessant.
This is a performing Olympics. Like every, they always say like, oh, there's no small parts. In Mamma Mia, there are small parts.
Totally.
Whereas in Magic Box, every single cast member is important
Everyone.
because the set literally moves because of the cast. The ensemble each have like solos, so it totally it's a.
It was
it's a
just like
non-stop
also like the
marathon.
one points where I realized like how much had changed. Where like when you're saying you're overwhelmed at the
Yeah.
start of the show, we'd have just like the white box on stage, and then all of a sudden in the next scene, it's an office with 4 drawing desks in it.
Okay.
And just like where the fuck did those come from?
Yeah, and they appear out of nowhere. Yeah,
And now they're tap dancing on it, and 5 seconds later those things are
Yeah.
gone.
Amazing.
You know?
Are you going to travel with it now? What are the
Yes.
future
so,
plans?
So we basically finish up in Joburg on the 5th of Jan. So there's still 3 weeks left of the show. So book your tickets. There are very limited seats available, but it is definitely worthwhile.
You're just going to take a break on like Christmas Day?
Yeah, so we have Christmas Day off, but the rest of the time we are performing.
Yeah. No,
so-
well, it's the time to
it
go
is the
out and
time.
see
Exactly.
stuff.
And like, I love, everyone's like, oh, aren't you sad to perform over Christmas? Are you kidding? Like, what an amazing, every time that I feel tired, I'm like, some kid in this audience
It's having the fucking time of their life.
got this ticket for their birthday.
Yes.
And they have been waiting.
Yes.
And you have to deliver like that.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like amazing. Like, you're part of a Disney legacy now. That's an opportunity that you cannot sneer at.
To me, the fact that you are crafting what could hopefully be a future
Yeah.
famous Disney show,
Yeah.
to me, that is single-handedly the most exciting thing that
Yeah,
you're
and
doing.
also, and how cool! I get to put that I was the Mickey Mouse on my CV. Like, it's so random.
exactly.
But so we go from Joburg to Abu Dhabi to Doha, and then there is further territories planned that we are not allowed to speak about just yet.
Sure,
Okay, cool.
but then if they've got you and they feel like you're a good fit, this could be something that you kind of ride
So
for
basically,
as long as you
we
want?
can,
As long as
essentially,
you're
yes,
able to.
we would tour with it as long as we're able to. The only places we're not allowed to perform is the States and UK because of the union rules. They have to have Americans or British people performing.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
But I mean, you get to tour the world, literally playing single-handedly the most important character ever created in history. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty
That is
cool.
pretty cool.
That's lovely, man. Okay, speaking of great musicals,
Yes.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on Wicked.
Oh my god, hated it. No, I'm joking.
Is that what you could return to the video store? Is that something you've watched recently?
there's something else that I'm going to return to the video store because I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it. But I did see Wicked. I thought it was spectacular. I knew Cynthia Erivo would kill it. Because obviously I know her history in musical theatre, and I think what a smart decision to cast someone who is so vastly different from Idina Menzel. That's what you need to do, because
Right.
Idina Menzel played the Elphaba on Broadway, the original Elphaba, and obviously Idina Menzel's got a really witchy sound.
Okay.
And Cynthia Erivo does not have that sound.
Yes.
And I think it's perfect. I think that is exactly what it is. You need to have someone who can...
There's like a different archetype, right? You have the theatre archetype and then the cinematic archetype,
and even like just to play the Wicked Witch in that way, I think it's so multi-layered and it's great.
I'm so upset about the story. Like, the more I think about it and I think about her being melted with water by Dorothy,
Yeah.
I was just like, this upsets me so much.
I mean, you
When you
And,
think
like, I
about
suppose part 2 is going to
Yeah,
come and I'm going
yeah.
to get like an understanding
Yeah.
of where this goes. But it's just, yeah.
I was also super impressed with Ariana Grande because Elphaba is a big sing, but Glinda is an acting role. And I
Right.
remember when I saw it on the West End, I wasn't impressed. Not that I wasn't impressed, but I felt that the Glinda felt flat because it was a British Glinda and she did it in a British accent. And I'm like, Glinda has to be American.
There is an American
She
energy
has to
to
be
her.
a valley girl. She has to be like there's just something so much about a head cheerleader about her.
Yes.
And I thought Ariana Grande delivered. Like, I was like, this is incredible. Her comedic timing and stuff is so great, and how she does it so subtly, it's fantastic. What I did not like about Wicked, to the choreographer of Wicked, why are we dancing on the 6, 7, and 8 and every half beat in a song? Like, we do not need hand choreography on every single beat of a song. It's
Right.
too much.
It's incessant.
It's too much. It's too camp. We're already doing a musical. We don't need to make this any more camp than what it is.
Okay, so
Yes.
break down exactly what you're saying there.
So I just think that like sometimes choreographers forget that when you're working on screen versus when you're working on stage, how choreography translates.
Okay.
And last time I was here, I spoke about musicals and musical films. And if you go watch Chicago, for example, the way that it's filmed and choreographed, it sort of molds together very well because it's all elevated in Roxy's mind. But Wicked, the choreography is part of the reality of the characters.
Right.
And why are we doing hip hop in a hair salon when you've got the two main characters singing? It's almost like distracting. And yeah,
But you were saying specifically the 7 and the 8.
oh, it's
What-
on
what-
every beat of the song. I mean, like, you wouldn't normally do that. You would normally, like, hold a dance move for, like, 2 counts or whatever. But they're literally, like, I mean, I can't show because this is not a visual
Yeah.
medium. But
No,
it's
sure,
like,
sure.
but it's like they're just whacking on every single beat. They're, like, with their hand, their head, the eyebrow. And I'm just like, we need to calm down.
This is like
Okay,
a really
interesting.
interesting point for me because I think it might be a stylistic thing, like from the vision of the director.
Yeah.
Because my issue with the cinematography and the lensing and the lighting, like everything that goes with cinematography, is that it had no focus. Is that it
Yes.
was also just like, okay, we have practical sets, we have 100 dancers, we need to see all of it all the time.
Yes.
And then we're just going to like either like shoulder pan across this thing.
Yeah, I
And
wanted it.
It's manic.
I wanted it to be more cut and put together like a music video. It's so bizarre that we're all going to start singing and dancing.
Yeah.
I think you got to lean into the fantasy of it. Get a little bit more Baz Luhrmann-y. Do you know what I mean? Like, just
Yeah.
cut it like a music video. Add extra lighting.
Or-
It was
or
too
make
much.
or make it more operatic. I think, and I don't know what it is. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of this, and it's like even in live theater. I won't mention the production's name, but I just really felt like, why do we have to see everything all the time?
Yes.
Whatever happened to having a single spotlight on a person and having the audience focus on what they are singing and the words they are singing? And like Wicked, you could do the same thing. There's nothing stopping you from like having her in a glade in the woods and having like one beam of light come down and simplify it. You know, that sometimes is way more powerful, and really hone in on what the actor is doing. But
Sometimes it's the same with musical composition where it's like,
Yeah.
we don't all have to play something.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Let's just stop and let just that
Yeah.
guy play guitar.
the comparison for me and how motivated it is in terms of stories and West Side Story. I'll never shut up about this. I think it's the best film
we
musical
know
ever
it's
made.
fine. We here to support you.
Cool,
through this.
thank you so
This
much.
is the Steven Spielberg
Yeah.
West Side
Yeah, I
Story.
don't know if you guys
Is-
know this is the West Side Story podcast.
Is the moments in the gymnasium where you have intentional chaos
Yes.
of the Puerto Ricans and the, what do we call them?
The
The
Jets.
the jet
yeah.
crowd, right? And your camera's moving through seas of people that are moving horizontally across, like, camera in different directions. They both have intentional color palettes, so they seem part of their groups. But then as soon as we go to, is it Tony
Yes.
and Maria?
Yeah.
They're behind the bleachers.
And they've got the light coming
lights.
through.
It floods the scene behind so you don't see anyone
Precisely.
else.
I really think that, but again, we are speaking about Steven Spielberg, who understands
Yeah.
cinema, but 100%. And even in his dance sequences, if you watch like America, for example, the way that you still focus on Anita through all of that,
Yes.
despite there's some incredible dancing happening, he just knows how to do it.
He tells you where to look.
Yeah.
But I think it takes a lot of confidence to make those creative decisions, to go, everybody stop, and it's just that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or, you know, you've got this huge, as you said, beautiful, overwhelmingly built, very fucking expensive set, and
Yeah.
now you're going to tell me we're not going to screen it.
Show it.
Oh, there's,
yeah.
a
Show
producer, there's a producer behind your shoulder being like, I spent $50 million on that set.
Yeah.
And I
You
mean,
better
like,
show it.
there are some moments in Wicked that I think work really well. For example, so something that really surprised me was the Jeff Goldblum scene with the wizard, where he goes behind the curtain and he's got that sun that he's bouncing around.
Gorgeous.
And I'm like, that's just such old vaudevillian style. That is musical theater. Like, let that be it.
Yes.
Something else that really surprised. Okay, listen, Cynthia Erivo honestly can reverse over my family, and I would thank her. Like, she's just so good in this movie. But like, her versions of the song, I'm like, no one else can sing these songs ever again. Like,
No.
it's impossible. Like, her version of The Wizard and I, honestly, it's insane.
We did that in Simply
Yeah,
Broadway,
we did,
right?
and it's incredible. Like, her version is just, and I just love how that's a hard song to sing. I've sung that song. It's a hard song to sing.
Right.
She is singing it with like as if she is yawning in the morning.
There was a clip of her, I think it's on the Jimmy Fallon show. Thank goodness Jimmy Fallon isn't in
Yeah.
the clip, because screw Jimmy Fallon. And you see her stand up and do the Alphaba
Yeah,
riff
just do it
at the end.
Yeah,
And the effortlessness
yeah.
that you see is
No,
kind of
she's
just like breathtaking.
She's like a once in a lifetime talent, really. But I think for me, the her best scene in the whole movie is when she sings "I'm Not That Girl," which is like a song that really isn't rangy. It stays very between specific notes, but it's so like intimate.
Which part of the story was that?
That's when she's in the forest and she realizes that Pharaoh's in love with Glinda.
Oh, right.
And I was like, that song didn't ever stand out in the musical, but in this movie, it
she brings
stands
it
out
out.
I
so well.
know, I think you're distracting it. The reason why we all relate to it so well is because we're saying, oh, fuck, Jonathan Bailey doesn't love me. And we all like, understand.
I'm not that girl.
I'm not that girl.
You forget that she's brought the color purple into
Oh, yeah.
her performance, because that's what she
100%.
had done on Broadway.
Yeah.
Which is all about being mistreated by the world and downtrodden and
Totally.
persecuted.
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
That's an
she's-
interesting parallel.
She's very right for the role of someone who's now
No, she's
sort of being
perfect.
outcast.
And I think it's also very clever to
Okay.
to have someone like her play that role. It's brilliant casting.
So I think we're nitpicking, but for the
Yeah.
most part, you loved it.
I loved it.
Yeah, but you
I
see,
loved
this
it.
is like
Yeah.
cool when something is like so great and
Yeah.
it's so close to being perfect. You're going to be more critical of the
Yeah.
things that hold it back.
It's one of the
Right?
best movie musicals that's ever been made.
Absolutely, 100%.
But it's just there's like I think because I intrinsically understand musical theater and musical theater film that I noticed that.
100%, yeah.
What was the other thing you wanted to?
Oh, what I
return?
wanted to return is I don't know if you guys have watched The Penguin.
Oh yes, I started watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm halfway through, I think.
And I want to know, now I've forgotten her name, which is just so great because the whole point I wanted to make was about her name. It was about this actress, but the actress who plays the antagonist of the Penguin.
The Hangman.
Yes.
She goes into Arkham as this person that killed a whole
Where-
bunch of people.
Where has this actress been?
Her name is Kristen Milioti.
Yeah. You guys.
And
Okay.
I have seen her in something else before. Let me like pull up the IMDb.
So
quickly.
she was in How I Met Your
Oh.
Mother, which I think is so
Oh,
random.
Yeah, she's the mother.
But I'm just like,
Oh, she's been in loads of stuff.
She's
This-
been in Wolf of Wall Street.
She was his
also-
original wife
Yes.
in Wolf of Wall Street.
And-
She's the one that pulls the Margot Robbie out of the car,
Yes.
or him out of the car when she catches him
But-
snorting coke.
but
off it.
talk about a role that is going to like transform your career.
Absolutely.
This the TV show is brilliant.
TV shows on Showmax.
Yeah, it's on Showmax. Brilliant. Colin Farrell.
Colin
I was
Farrell.
supposed to Colin Firth.
I'll get confused.
Transforms into
Yeah.
the Penguin.
He is
But
incredible. He's
like-
incredible. But
She steals.
She steals the show.
Every single scene.
The last episode of the season, holy crap, she is like, I don't care about that this is called The Penguin. This should be called The Hangman because this
Absolutely.
chick destroys the series. She is incredible.
I've got something that you could potentially rent.
Okay.
It's a movie called Palm Springs. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, her and Andy Samberg
Okay.
in a Groundhog Day-esque concept.
Okay.
So it's the morning of a wedding, and the day repeats itself.
Yeah.
And it's their relationship as this kind of day keeps repeating. It's
Ooh.
classic Groundhog Day, but it's a bit more Andy Samberg-esque in that's always kind of like a fun
Yeah.
ride. But she's the lead.
Interesting.
So that would be a good thing for you to rent.
Yeah, definitely.
Palm Springs. I think it's on Showmax. It was at one point. But she's great in it. I'm trying to think whether she was in anything else. Okay, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying The Penguin.
I think if anyone wants to see great character acting, the Penguin is it. Like so brilliant. And what a way to take like a comic book based property and make it into like a psychological thriller.
Yeah, well, that was what was so nice. So the Penguin first showed up in The Batman, which was the big movie that had Robert Pattinson as Batman. And everyone walked away from that going, oh, this isn't just like a Batman throwing stars and doing gadgets and doing shit.
No.
Oh, he's an actual detective. He's like looking at evidence, thinking about it, interrogating. He's like actually not being a superhero. He's just being a detective in a really cool outfit.
And I mean, that's
but
really,
it grounded the movie.
And this series also really grounds not only the world in which that exists in, but like the Penguin as a character, which is, as a villain, everyone knows Danny DeVito's version. It was an incredible version.
Right.
But this is so nuanced and layered, and I think
and a
like
bit more real, right?
What I think is gonna be so cool is like, where do they take the franchise from here? Like, this could actually, you know, be a real contender. Like Christopher Nolan's films will always be sort of apex, but
yeah, this
totally.
takes it a bit further.
This could take it further.
Absolutely.
One thing I want to talk about,
Yes,
because I want to hear more about it, was the wedding that you had recently. Well, not recently. When was it?
It's like half a year ago.
In May.
Yeah.
it's gonna be May. Yeah.
Earlier this year, you got married. And for those who don't know, the last time you visited the video store, you told the most incredible story about a wedding that you attended. Because you'd attended lots of weddings.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were often in the bridal parties.
Yes.
And weddings seem to be a big part of your life.
Yes.
So much so that you had a host of stories, one of which is this rather grueling but very intense story about a horse, which I don't want to get into it. There'll be a link to your previous visit so people can hear it. But you got the chance to now host your own wedding.
My own, yeah.
I also did relatively recently.
Yeah, we married each other. I remember that. Yeah.
I was personally reminded, as much as I did love my day and was very grateful to now be married to the love of my life, attending weddings is a lot more fun than hosting. But it sounded like you had an amazing wedding.
Well, so I have been part of 16 bridal parties.
That's a lot.
That's
I know.
unprecedented.
If anyone else gets married, I'm literally killing them. They're going to come and tell me, and I'm pulling out a revolver, and that is it.
Why? I don't think I asked this at the time. Why is it that you think you have been included in so many?
Why do you not think I'm worthy of having friends? Russell?
No, I mean, I've got lots of friends, but I'm just curious.
Brett's like the life of the party. Brett's the raconteur. He's like the easy life, you know?
There we go. It's nice to hear it from someone else.
But I think it's also like, I come with a particular skill set of like,
have a particular set of
Yeah.
skills.
I will find you and I will throw your wedding. It's like I think because I work in like production, and in that way people know that they can rely on me to like help their wedding along.
They believe that you can add some pizzazz.
Yeah. And it's
Okay.
funny because a lot of the wedding party, I'm sorry if you're listening to this, some of you, but you won't know that it's you. But some of the wedding parties being part of, the bride and groom have been very like vanilla people.
Yes, and so but it's nice that they want some
It's
spice.
the spice of life, exactly.
Okay.
I am.
They've recognized how they're going to
Yeah,
up the...
I am the Arrakis to their friendship group, but it's like
I don't know the reference.
Dune.
Dune.
Oh.
Planets, the spice planets.
Wow,
Oh.
and this is a
They want some
movie
spice.
podcast.
Sorry, in my head, I didn't go to Arrakis as the planet. Sorry.
So it's.
Okay.
I think that's why I don't know, and I think I just generally have a lot of close friends.
No, well, that's amazing.
Yeah, it
I
is
certainly
very
don't
cool.
have 16
I don't
close
know.
friends.
I don't know why they want to be friends with me, but I'm very grateful for their friendship.
I'd like to perhaps get Cole to start. Instead of a bridal shower, you attended
What?
for Brett, instead of a bridal
No,
shower.
I wasn't part of the bridal party.
No, but instead of attending a... Oh, Brett, you tell him.
I don't know what you're trying to give me
so
to
we
do.
had a bridal shower.
That's what I was
Okay,
looking
sorry.
for. You
Yeah.
told me about that,
Yeah,
Cole,
we had a
and I
bridal
was
shower.
like, I love the fact that it's a bridal shower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause we've got-
we had a bachelor's before a few weeks before the wedding, which was thrown by surprise with us. And that story, I literally cannot tell on this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, that was wild.
It
I've
was.
heard that story.
But let me
But this
tell
is
you,
interesting. So there
if
was
you think the horse story is wild,
okay, but that horse story was also gruesome and bloody and traumatic.
so is the Bachelor
Oh
story.
God! So there was some trauma.
Yeah. There was murder. No, I'm joking. There wasn't.
But this is interesting that
Someone died.
does one have two separate bachelor
No,
parties?
no. We had a joint bachelor's party
Okay.
thrown by a friend Nicola, who, just for the perspective of who Nicola is as a human being, her literal job is to throw London and Dublin pride. So she is the gayest person, even though she is a straight woman.
Yeah.
Like, this woman is unhinged. So her level of like extravagance cannot be tamed.
Right.
Okay.
And it
And then
was
apply
not.
to bachelor party.
Yeah. Let's just say my parents are scarred for life because it was thrown at my parents' house. And wow, I've got photos of my mom in the background and her facial expressions, mint.
Is this sort of hangover level, like the
yeah,
start of the movie where it's like,
honestly,
we fucked up.
no, it wasn't.
We
It
fucked up.
wasn't. There was obviously there was drinks involved, but it wasn't like anyone got completely smashed. It wasn't that. It wasn't an alcohol thing. It was. She basically. I'm telling the story half now, but she basically hired a bear bum butler who, if you know what that is basically a guy who comes and serves drinks in an apron, but he's naked behind the apron, so you see his bum.
Sure.
And they just serve drinks. But the person who arrived was not a bare bum butler, nor was it the person that she had found on the
Selected.
website.
Yeah.
It was something else.
Oh God.
And this man, I cannot